The movie begins with the introduction of Seoljong, a potent and weaponized talisman used for sealing away evil spirits. We then see a worried old man who rushes inside a cave, looking for his grandson named Dongwoo. He quickly spots the little kid tied to a pillar and rushes to save him. As he is untying the ropes, the little boy suddenly gets possessed. The old man happens to be a strong shaman. He wears a bell bracelet on his hand, which notifies him that an evil spirit is nearby. As he looks up, the scene cuts abruptly. We see an exorcist named Dr. Chun, who is dozing off in the car when the GPS announces their arrival. He is with his friend Inbei, who is also known as his apprentice Kang. They have created a business through fake exorcisms and scamming rich people. Despite his grandfather being a famous shaman, Chun does not particularly believe in ghosts. The exorcist startles awake. Seeing him, Inbei comments that he must have been fake sleeping since he woke up right on time. The two quickly ascend in their car and prepare for their first mission in a while. After parking the car right on the road, the two make their way inside. The house looks quite huge since it belongs to a rather rich family. After gaping at the marvelous place, they get to work. Out of habit, Chun raises his arm and listens for the bell to ring. Turns out, he is wearing the same bracelet that his grandpa wore. Inbei feels uneasy and asks him to stop doing that, since they have never heard that bell ring. Just then, the team encounters the young kid of a couple, who is looking at them from the balcony. The rude little girl calls them fake and mocks them, saying that their lives must be tough. The couple rushes out after hearing the commotion and scolds their daughter for misbehaving. Then, after greeting the exorcists, they tell them that their daughter is possessed. The couple looks extremely stressed. They want nothing more than to rid themselves of the spirit haunting them. Chun tells them not to worry and starts investigating. Just then, he smells something peculiar in the house. He says that the stench is like that of a rotting corpse. He follows the smell to a totem and asks Inbei to prepare everything, pointing to it discreetly. He takes the couple inside, while Inbei gets everything ready. Afterwards, Inbei creates a circle with a rope and asks the family members to stay inside that circle, no matter what happened. Chun asks the father about the totem. The man tells him how he was told that this totem protected the boundaries of a royal family's house. Chun looks deeply at it and ominously declares that the only thing it protected was a graveyard. According to him, the stench inside their house is because of the totem. Chun tells them that they are suffering from symptoms like sleepless nights, restless legs that itch as if bugs are crawling on them, stuffy stomachs, and horrible nightmares. He even tells them that their daughter's failing grades are due to the totem's influence. The family is shocked to know that the shaman knows so much. He then tells them that the spirit haunting them is not inside their daughter, but in this totem. Soon, they start the exorcism. Chun takes up his dagger and starts chanting along with Inbei. At first, the ritual goes as planned, but soon their car is towed away, and they lose the Wi-Fi connection, making the special effects fade out. All of a sudden, the totem flies out in the wrong direction. Despite the sudden twist, Dr. Chun manages to handle the situation well. He tells the couple that their home is finally rid of the evil spirit. He suggests a break for the daughter, who apologizes for her earlier misconduct and acknowledges the team's capabilities. Following the incident, they clean up, with Dr. Chun taking charge and assigning apprentice Kang to handle the entities. They get paid and leave the house. Outside, they find out that their car has been towed away, hence they are forced to take the bus. On the way, Inbei asks Chun to hire another assistant too. Since he is tasked with so many things, one or two are bound to go wrong. Chun, however, is reluctant. He says that he cannot trust anyone else apart from, given the work that they do. The duo takes the collected things back to President Wong, who pays them for their service. The president is a kind old man. He is about to eat his lunch as Chun arrives. He presents him with a toad and takes his lunch before the poor man has a chance to eat. The two partake in a light-hearted banter about how much the toad is worth. Soon Inbei also enters, carrying the totem, and President Wong is shocked. He asks Chun to stop scamming people, but the latter tells him that he is merely helping people psychologically instead of scamming. If he didn't do it, the people would go to 100 other shamans and lose thousands of dollars. He has a point though. Angered at their work, President Wong brings up Chun's grandfather and the man storms off. It turns out that it is a sore topic for him. Back at their office, Inbei begins editing their recent video, while Chun goes inside his room. There on the wall, we see medical certificates. Turns out, Dr. Chun is a professional psychologist who has taken up this peculiar occupation. He takes off his coat and takes out a dagger, unlike the one he used earlier. This dagger seems half broken. After placing it with the bell away in a safe, he takes out a map and begins crossing out places on it. Meanwhile, outside, Inbei gets a call from his mother when a stranger arrives. The strange woman carefully examines the video that Inbei is editing. Inbei is unaware of the stranger's arrival and keeps talking on the phone. As the call cuts, he turns around and is violently startled to see the woman near him. The woman turns out to be a new client named Yukiyoung, who has come asking for help. However, before Inbei can talk further, Chun opens the door and tells the woman that they are completely booked for the year. Hearing this, Inbei asks the woman to wait while he rushes inside to talk to Chun himself. The man is in the middle of telling Inbei how he cannot afford to do a pro bono case when the woman barges in and throws 50 grand on his desk. She says that she would pay another 50 after the work is done. Without another word of protest, Chun asks about the place where they would need to go. He checks his map and sees no red tick on the designated location, thus he agrees. The next day, they set off towards the place. On the way, Yukiyoung sees the spirit of a woman and swerves her car. The exorcists behind her are shocked. Inbei worries that she is dozing off behind that wheel, but Chun seems skeptical. As they enter the boundaries of the place, suddenly, a thick fog rolls in, creating an ominous atmosphere. Yet, instead of getting scared, Inbei suggests titling their new video, "The Lady in the Fog." As they go in, strange scenes appear before them. There are funeral processions and people packing their bags and preparing to move out. The entire place seems laden with a somber atmosphere with no light in sight. Even in the middle of the day, there is a devilishly dark aura about them. Slowly, their hearts start getting a little heavy. Inbei worriedly asks what might have happened to this strange town. They soon arrive at Yukiyoung's house. Outside, the woman greets the town head, and they finally enter the house. Chun notices the worn-out and messy state of the eerie place. He takes note of the shoes and pictures, hinting that there is a family of 4, yet no father and mother are in sight. Yukiyoung then takes them to a locked room. After a moment of apprehension, she finally opens the door. As soon as the door opens, the little kid starts pleading with her sister. Seeing this, Inbei starts getting worried. Outside, he proposes leaving, but Dr. Chun stresses the importance of aiding those in need. He tells Inbei that since the bell didn't ring, there must be nothing inside. Thus, he need not worry and go about this as they normally do. Back inside, they have done all the preparations and the woman now sits inside their usual circle. As they gear up to start the ritual, Inbei sees Yukiyoung brandishing a taser. Getting alarmed, he asks the woman to put it away. The woman, in turn, asks Inbei about his ability to perceive spirits and how he deals with them. The man is lost on how to answer. Chun replies for him, saying that he is indeed a pro in his work, unlike any other. Hearing this, Yukiyoung also admits to being able to see spirits. She says how some spirits that appeared in their videos were mundane. She usually ignores them, but since this one concerns her sister, she is unable to ignore it. Chun looks at her, worried, and assures her that all the spirits that she can see would be exorcised today. He probably still thinks that she is just hallucinating. The ritual soon begins and Dr. Chun approaches the child. In order to ease her tension, he shows her the dagger, which happens to be nothing but a toy. He says that they are just trying to cure her sick sister, and she won't be harmed. To calm her down even further, he takes out his bell and shows it to her, saying that it belonged to a very powerful shaman, so unless she really is possessed, it wouldn't ring. To prove his point, he shakes the bell, but to his horror, the bell rings. All of a sudden, the atmosphere changes, and the evil spirit calls from within her body, addressing Chun. The man is still shocked when the little girl breaks free from her chair. As Chun throws away the fake dagger and takes out the real one from his coat, the possessed girl attacks him with a chair, throwing him aside. On the other end, Yukiyoung takes out the taser and is about to jump out when Inbei stops her and gets tased instead. Yukiyoung then sees the spirit, leaving her sister's body and coming towards her. Strangely enough, this evil spirit is unable to possess her. Dr. Chun finally comes back to his senses and quickly gets up to see the little girl collapse. He looks towards Yukiyoung, who tells him that the spirit is in front of her. With a bang, he strikes the air before Yukiyoung and skillfully exorcises the spirit. On the other side of town, a strange cylindrical box explodes in the hands of a mysterious man. A group of people, who happen to be this man's followers, stands before him, addressing him as Master. One among them, named Warung, approaches the man and asks if he is all right. This menacing old man grabs him by the face and tells him how Yukiyoung looked straight at him. On the other hand, Chun and Inbei are heading back when Chun notices Warung watching them from afar. He comes back and reports it to their master. The group members get together to discuss how they can finally leave this place once they get the woman's eyes, since she is the only one their master could not possess. However, they seem cautious of Chun, calling him the Chilseong sword wielder. Inbei finally comes back to meet with President Wang, but he is alone. He tells the president how Chun was acting weird after the incident. He had instructed Inbei to go and tell the president that the bell rang before heading back to the town alone. The old man gets serious and takes a look at the recording. After seeing it, he quickly calls Dr. Chun and strictly tells him to return. However, Chun would not have any of it. He tells him an address, saying they can meet there, and abruptly cuts the call. Worried, the old man gets dressed, takes his drum and drives to the location. On the way there, Inbei keeps making fun of President Wang for carrying a huge drum, despite his temper earlier. He thought the president would go there, armed with a knife instead. The old man scolds him for making fun of a holy object. He then tells Inbei about Chun's history. It turns out that the man hails from a family of shamans. His grandfather was the chief shaman back in the day. Chun had a little brother back then who inherited their grandfather's skills and made incredible seoljeongs, which were talismans used to trap ghosts and evil spirits. Despite being the eldest sibling, Chun had no interest in being a shaman. Thus, the role was passed down to his younger brother. One day, his brother disappeared. Their grandfather found a potent talisman hidden inside his pillow. He was desperate to get his grandson back, and thus performed a ritual for 4 days without eating or sleeping. President Wang was there at the time, as one of the attendants of the chief shaman. Inbei asks whether they found the little boy, but it turns out that he was used as bait to get rid of the shaman. They were both found lifeless, and Chun blamed himself for their passing. After this incident, President Wang raised Chun in secrecy and changed his name, but he refused to let the grudge go. In an attempt to find the one who took out his family, he chased after countless shamans and finally became one himself. Meanwhile, we see the same evil master named Bayam. He is the same man responsible for Chun's family's demise. Bayam takes another cylinder and gets to work on possessing his other victim. It turns out that he is also accountable for the town's destruction. After the unsettling encounter with Yukyung, he has become anxious. Since she can see him and he cannot possess her, she is nothing but a threat to his reign. Back in her house, after putting her sister to sleep, Yukyung solemnly holds her mother's picture. She remembers how she saw her spirit just this afternoon near the tunnel. As she is cleaning, she hears a knock and goes to open the door. It turns out to be the town head. She greets the man but soon realizes that he is possessed by the evil spirit. Rushing towards her taser, she tries to save herself, but to no avail. Luckily, before the man can harm her, he is taken care of by Chun, who arrives at that very moment. However, their relief is short-lived when the woman sees her sister jumping out of the window and rushing away. She quickly goes after him, but Chun goes inside their bedroom. There, he tears open the pillow and finds the same talisman that was inside his brother's pillow. Taking it, he also rushes out. After they run for a while, they see the possessed little girl boarding the enemy vehicle and getting away, but not before having a good look at Chun. Bayam then leaves the little girl's body and goes back to his lair. There, he declares that they are going to take care of Chun for good. His minions take out dozens of cylindrical boxes, and he starts attacking Chun after possessing every person in that town, one after the other. Dr. Chun finds himself ensnared in a dangerous predicament amid the chaos. One by one, he exorcises the spirit and Bayam's cylinders explode to bits. With each passing moment, the man gets more and more anxious. The entire town seems to be under his command, with talismans attached to the door of each house. Yet he is unable to take down Chun. Bayam is finally down to a single cylinder, which his minion drops accidentally, making him angrier. Chun and Yukyung finally board the car, but before they leave, the possessed town head attacks them once more. He tries to stop them, but they soon get away. Enraged, Bayam breaks the last one on his own. His followers look petrified. They tremble in fear as his bloodthirsty eyes scan the room, asking for volunteers to step up and fill the goods. It turns out, the cylinders that he uses to possess the townspeople are made from human fingers. Thus, they need someone to sacrifice, so that they can make new ones. The people all look at poor Sawal, a trusted but naive follower. Seeing the severity of the situation, she attempts to flee, but to no avail. Warung, who just arrived with Yukyung's sister, catches her in time and drags her back. Bayam possesses her and makes her cut. The screaming woman is then locked up. Back on the other side, Chun and Yukyung arrive at the promised location, where President Wang and Inbei are waiting for them. Chun introduces Yukyung to the president, who takes Chun aside and subjects him to his fiery rage. He warns him to not go down that path, lest he wants to be rid of his life. Even his grandfather, who was a strong shaman, could not defeat the evil spirit, so how could he, when he doesn't even have an ounce of spiritual energy? Chun then shows the president the talisman which was used to possess the little girl. This cryptic talisman serves as a pivotal clue to locate the girl. Chun and the others arrive at a place to meet a shaman who is possessed by a celestial maiden. They enter the place and greet the shaman. They provide him with the kid's picture and the talisman, with a deal of 50 grand to locate her. The shaman turns around and is a bit skeptical to take on the task. He tells them how shamans perished after they chased this evil thing. After they beg him earnestly, the shaman finally gives in. Conversely, the evil gang is also preparing for a ritual. They use the girl's connection with the talisman to find Chun's location. Back at the Celestial Maiden's shrine, the shaman starts his ritual. After a while, the maiden finally descends. Before she possesses the shaman, she makes eye contact with Yukyung. The other shaman serving Bayam tries to sneak in and spy on them using a fly, but the maiden notices it and ends the fly. She then turns to Yukyung, saying how she saw her in her celestial form. She says that her power of seeing the deceased, souls, and even deities is why the evil mage wants to wring out her eyes and keep them for himself. The group looks lost on why he would want that. The maiden tells them that it is because of the Seoljong that Chun's grandfather implanted. Yukyung's eyes could evaporate Seoljong's. It turns out that in his quest to become a deity, the evil mage has been hunting down shamans for their spiritual powers. That is how Chun's grandfather was caught in his trap. When he went to save Chun's little brother, the evil mage possessed the little boy and attacked the old man. However, the old man was the only shaman powerful enough to trap the mage inside a Seoljong. Despite this, the mage had managed to hold off the chains and tried to attack them. With no choice left, the old man chose to cut off the Chilseung's sword in half and try to save his grandson. With the sword in half, the evil mage managed to cut the Seoljong in two and attack the old man with his sword. He had succeeded in doing so, but before he could escape, the Seoljong's binding curse came in place. This limited the evil mage to that tiny village. Since then, he has been trying to get rid of the Seoljong. The shaman then picks up the talisman and tells them that this potent object cannot be destroyed that easily. The talisman neither rips nor burns. To destroy it, it must be read backwards. He shows it to Yukyung, saying that only she can see those hidden words. True enough, as she watches the talisman intently, strange letters appear. Unable to read them, she writes them down, and President Wong reads them backwards, effectively destroying the talisman. This makes the mage shaman's sleeve catch on fire. The maiden tells Chun that even if they save the little girl, the mage will come after him. However, the man is resolutely determined to reattach his grandfather's Seoljong. Yukyung has a pair of eyes capable of perceiving the supernatural, and he has a mystical sword. Together, they would defeat the evil mage. The celestial maiden divulges the other half of Seoljong's location. On the other hand, the evil shaman also finds out their plan and tells the mage that they are off to Mount Yongwol. The group finally arrives at the location and find the place in eerie darkness. In order to illuminate their surroundings, Inbei uses an explosive with a powerful light. Chen asks Yukyung to look around for a huge talisman, just like she did in their previous encounter. Their search is being monitored by Warren. After looking around for a bit, the woman finally sees the illumination of the talisman. They follow the path and arrive at a terrifying cabin in the middle of the woods. It is plastered with talismans, and its surrounding is littered with souls from the underworld. Chen bravely approaches the door. He strikes the rope with his sword and slashes the talisman, making the door bang open. Dr. Chen enters the room, and the door slams shut behind him. Worried, Inbei involuntarily steps forward, and the hands from the underworld claw at his foot. Panic sets in as the poor man experiences a surreal event, momentarily convinced of the disappearance of his foot. Turns out that it is the effect of a mirage created by the touch of all these ghosts. Meanwhile, inside the room, Chen is shocked to find himself transported to the place where they found his grandfather and brother's corpse. The stiff bodies suddenly come to life and start attacking him. Mustering up his courage, he tells himself that these are not his loved ones. He picks up his sword and exorcises the evil spirit. Just then, the other half of the Seoljong appears, and he goes to pick it up. Outside, President Wang beats his drum to help him. Finally victorious, Chen takes the Seoljong and comes out. The room behind him crumbles, along with the evil mage's pride. Inbei finally calms down after seeing his foot miraculously return. In order to locate the mage, they determine the boundaries, which extend far and wide within the mountains. According to these boundaries, they finally determine the mage's residing location. On the other side, Warren decides to flee. After seeing the other half of the Seoljong being taken, he is seen in the act by the evil shaman. The man offers the shaman to elope with him to Seoul, but the woman refuses, saying that their master would finally be free after extracting Yukyung's eyes. The man decides to leave by himself after hearing this. but he is attacked by the shaman. Just then, the mage also arrives and the poor man is brutally. On the other side, as the group is leaving the village, Yukyung sees her mother again. She seems to be pointing at something. We see one of her fingers has been cut. It shows that she was also one of the victims of the evil mage. Yukyung looks in the pointed direction. She learns that they are being followed by a possessed village chief and the other cultists. All of a sudden, they are attacked by the village chief, who attaches himself to their car. This causes Inbei's and the president's car behind them to collide and swerve off-road to the side. A desperate fight ensues. The chief holds off Chun, while Sawal grabs Yukyung, shouting at her to give up her eyes. Yukyung uses the taser to break free. On the other hand, despite exorcising the chief again and again, he keeps getting possessed by the mage. Amidst the fight, Yukyung accidentally drops her taser. The evil shaman sees it and picks it up. She uses it to tase the woman and drags her to the other car, while Chun is busy fighting the huge man. The chief is finally free of the possession, and Chun rushes to save Yukyung, but it is too late. The car speeds off. As the man stands in the middle of the road agonizing his loss, Inbei and President Wong finally arrive like the police on a crime scene. A little too late. The trio finally arrive at the place where the mage would be. Inside, the mage has tied up Yukyung and her sister. He approaches the woman and tells her that she should not be scared. He would make sure to dig out her eyes painlessly and will cherish them. How nice. At the entrance, Chun tells the other two to rig the place with explosives and wait outside. Once Yukyung and her sister come out, they should blast the place. They need to seal the mage at all costs, be it inside the Seoljong or inside this cave. As he enters the place, he feels the sword reacting to its other half. Once inside the main chamber, he hears the mage's voice, and the two finally face off. The mage comments how Chun resembles his grandfather more than his deceased brother. As they hit and punch each other, Chun drops his sword near the Seoljong. In the meantime, the duo outside finally complete their task of laying down explosives. Inside, the sword reattaches itself to its other half. During the fight, the mage throws Chun to the side, and he lands near the complete sword. He grabs the sword as the mage nears him, mocking Chun for being futile. However, there is a hint of caution in the evil mage's eyes after seeing the intact sword. The fight continues with Chun having the upper hand this time. He strikes a final blow, cutting the mage's sword in half. As the mage falls to the side, his hand lands on a cylinder, and he possesses Warren, who lies nearby. Using his body, he manages to catch Chun off guard and plunges his broken sword inside him. Just then, the president starts drumming, while Inbei rushes in with his huge explosive. He shouts at them to close their eyes as he shoots, making their surroundings blindingly bright. Using this distraction, the group manages to rush off with the Seoljong. As the mage tries to go after them, he is stopped by Warung, who is then obliterated. After the four of them rush out, they press the button, and the explosives go off, trapping the evil mage inside. They burn one part of the Seoljong, and it reattaches itself. Finally, Chun lays it down and stabs it with a sword. A fiery red chain bursts out from it and catches the evil mage, trapping him within itself forever. Inevitably, the Seoljong self-destructs into oblivion, taking the evil spirit with it. The movie ends with the village returning to its previous glory before the evil mage's regime. Yukyung gets a job offer from the Exorcist duo to work with them. With her on their team, they probably won't be scamming people anymore.